Hi, sweeties. How are you doing? Welcome to Naya Sim or Cimnanya, and thank you all so much for all the love and support. Hope you all are doing great. Today, we'll be talking something very important, and it's about this video I came across, and I was like, I am definitely bringing this here because every day people wake up to gaslight and manipulate themselves and lie about Black people and their experiences. And the fact that she came out to defend this is something that I really do not understand. She started by saying that all men are created equal, and her intent was for them to do the right thing. And she was like, that they've been. I mean, a lot of people talk about racism and all that, and yeah, there is still racism, but it is no longer the way it used to be, and we are not a racist country, meaning everybody is going to be created equally, whether a man or a woman. So you all are equal, And with time, they were able to fix things that made sure that, women and men became equal, and it all happened over time. And I am asking, when did all this happen and that we did not know, and the rest of it? The fact that she is still defending bullshit, because that is she is defending bullshit and at the same time lying about Black people's struggle. Because what she's trying to tell us that all the things Black people are saying, it is not true. I mean, they have been trying to make things up. You know what? Let's get into this.
Hey, good morning, Nikki Haley. Remember when you said this?
But when you look, it said all men are created equal. I think the intent was to do the right thing. Now, did they have to go fix it along the way? Yes, but I don't think the intent was ever that we were going to be a racist country. The intent was everybody was going to be created equally. And as we went through time, they fixed the things that were not all men are created equal. They made sure women became equal too. All of these things happen over time. But I refuse to believe that the premise of when they formed our country was based on the fact that it was a racist country to start with. I refuse to believe that.
Well, one, your belief is a lie and you know that. Two, in a factual conversation about what is and what isn't, your beliefs, feelings, thoughts, and opinions hold no merit. They are feckless. Keep them to yourself and out of public discourse. And three, the fact that you are holding false beliefs and judgments about an external reality that you cling to, despite incontrovertible evidence to the contrary, is literally the definition of delusional. It's typically a symptom of a mental condition which would make you unfit to hold any office in this country, especially that of the one of president. So come here real quick. Let's have a conversation. You claim that the founding fathers of this country never intended for it to be racist, and you cite Thomas Jefferson as proof of concept, a man who in his lifetime enslaved roughly 600 Africans or more and impregnated a 14-year-old on multiple occasions. So let's hear from people who worked alongside Thomas Jefferson, who knew him well and understood what he meant when he wrote, all men are created equal. Men like Roger Taney, who was born in 1777, grew up to become a Supreme Court justice, and in 1857 made a ruling so racist that it led directly to the Civil War. In 1857, in his ruling against Dred Scott, Roger Taney is speaking directly to you, Nikki Haley, and people who think like you, when he ruled that it's difficult at this day to realize the state of public opinion in relation to that unfortunate race. The unfortunate race that he's speaking of is me, people who look like me. The state of public opinion in relation to that unfortunate race, which prevailed in the civilized and enlightened portions of the world at the time of the signing of the Declaration of Independence and when the Constitution of the United States was framed and adopted. But the public history of every European nation displays it in a manner too plain to be mistaken. They, talking about people who look like me, had for more than a century, this was in 1857, so before 1757. So we had for more than a century been regarded as beings of an inferior order and altogether unfit to associate with the white race, either in social or political relations. And so far inferior that we have no rights which the white man is bound to respect, and that the Negro might justly and lawfully be reduced to slavery for my benefit. That means that the United States of America was racist by law. He goes on to say that people like me were bought and sold and treated as an ordinary article of merchandise and trade whenever a profit could be made by it. This opinion was at the time fixed and universal in the civilized portion of the white race. It was regarded as an axiom in morals as well as politics, which no one thought of disputing or supposed to be open to dispute. And men in every grade and position in society daily and habitually acted upon it in their private pursuits as well as in matters of public concern, without doubting for a moment the correctness of this opinion. And that belief got its start at America's mother's house. He goes on to say that the opinion thus entertained and acted upon in England was naturally impressed upon the colonies they founded on this side of the Atlantic. And accordingly, a Negro of the African race was regarded by them as an article of property and held and bought and sold as such in every one of the 13 colonies which united in the Declaration of Independence and afterwards formed the Constitution of the United States. The slaves, me, people who looked like me, my ancestors, were more or less numerous in the different colonies as slave labor was found more or less profitable. But no one seemed to have doubted the correctness of the prevailing opinion of the time. What was that opinion? He explains by saying that the language of the Declaration of Independence is equally conclusive. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, that they are endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights, that among them is life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. He goes on to say that the words quoted above would seem to embrace the whole human family, and if they were used in a similar instrument at this day, would be so understood. But it is too clear for dispute that the enslaved African race were not intended to be included and formed no part of the people who framed and adopted this declaration. For if the language, as understood in that day, would embrace them, the conduct of the distinguished gentlemen who framed the Declaration of Independence would have been utterly and flagrantly inconsistent with the principles they asserted, and instead of the sympathy of mankind to which they so confidently appealed, they would have deserved and received universal rebuke and reprobation. But there are two clauses in the Constitution which point directly and specifically to the Negro race as a separate class of persons and show clearly that they were not regarded as a portion of the people or citizens of the government then formed. One of these clauses reserved to each of the 13 states the right to import slaves until the year 1808, if it thinks proper. And by the other provision, the states pledged themselves to each other to maintain the right of property by the master by delivering up to him any slave who may have escaped from his service and be found within their respective territories. These two provisions show conclusively that neither the description of the persons therein referred to nor their descendants were embraced in any of the other provisions of the Constitution. For certainly, these two clauses were not intended to confer on them or their posterity the blessings of liberty or any of the personal rights so carefully provided for the citizen. The only two provisions which point to them and include them treat them as property and make it the duty of the government to protect it. No other power in relation to this race is to be found in the Constitution. And as it is a government of special delegated powers, no authority beyond these two provisions can be constitutionally exercised. The government of the United States has no right to interfere for any other purpose but that of protecting the rights of the owner the enslaver, the human trafficker, leaving it all together with the several states to deal with this race, whether emancipated or not, as each state may think justice, humanity, and the interest and safety of society required. The states evidently intended to reserve this power exclusively to themselves. And upon a full and careful consideration of the subject, the court is of the opinion that upon the facts stated in the plea in abatement, Dred Scott was not a citizen of Missouri within the meaning of the Constitution of the United States and is not entitled as such to sue in its courts. Now, that racist ruling became law, and that racist law was one of hundreds of racist laws that enshrined racism into the very fabric of this country. And that ruling in particular put us on a direct path to the Civil War, a war fought over states' rights to enslave black people in perpetuity.
So this is all I got from the video, and I don't think we need to start reminding people about how United States or how racist United States is, and how Black people so far has been treated or still been treated till this very moment, and all that. And the fact that she just to quote that quote she said, all men are created equal and all that. I mean, that was just the beginning of, because the person she was quoting was also a racist. And the fact that they keep looking for a way every time to cover up all the things that has been done until, I don't know why people want to cover the truth, because truth is something you do not cover, no matter how you try to amend it or try to make it look better or look good. It was never good. It was not a good thing to this very moment, and still not a good thing. No matter how hard you try to cover it, you cannot cover it. And I keep saying this: if you know that you cannot stand the truth, there are some route you should not even go to, because coming out all the time to tell us all men are created equal and this, that, everybody is this and all that. It is more like you're trying to defend all the things that has happened so far to Black people, and trying to make Black people feel like, that what is going on with you people is not valid, and or trying to make people struggle, kind of look invalid, right? Trying to tell you that no, you guys probably experienced this back then, it is no longer happening in this very present time and all that. When you can see that she herself has experienced racism, she experienced it to the extent that she has to change her name, right? To fit white supremacy, because what stopped her from, why did she change her name? What stopped her from bearing her native name? If America were all that great, if like she is saying that there is no racism, there is no racism and all that. So it is like, somebody seeing the moon shining, all beautiful, and you are trying to use your, my just bare hands to cover it up. I mean, it's almost impossible. You cannot cover it up. See, brother did a great job with all the analysis, and he came correct with his findings and all that. See, it is okay for you people to acknowledge, because I know why they are running away from acknowledging all the things they have done to Black people is because they are running away from reparations. If they decide to say that yes, all this happened, and that all this racism happened to Black people and all that, acknowledge every one of it to the fullest, they know what they are getting themselves into. But they would rather keep lying. See, Nikki Haley, I don't know why she keeps doing this, an Asian woman for that matter, who also can also know what Black people are going through, or know what people of color are going through. She will rather throw everybody under the bus just to identify with white supremacy. It is amazing how people all the damn time wake up to gaslight. She said she refused to believe that. when she is standing right in front of everybody telling us she refused to believe that. Why she was the one that also came out to tell us that she experienced racism, but that was then. But it is no longer the way it used to be. It is way better now, you know. It is somebody coming to gaslight you, tell you that, or manipulate you into believing that, yeah, it used to really be very bad back then, and now it is kind of subtle, you know, because we don't see people are no longer in plantation. I mean, there is no longer segregation, Jim Crow, and all that. When all these are still there, they are all there, low key. I mean, racism did not even stop. This is something we all have to know. It just evolved in different ways and different manners, and they are still operating till this very moment. It is sad that we wake up every day to people trying to defend what is not defendable. There are some things you try to defend, and we cannot. There are some things you cannot defend because I mean, it is glaring that once you go to the Google and write some certain things about Black people, you are going to see the accurate answer. You are going to get answer. So one thing I love is that all these running around they have been doing, trying to hide the truth. The truth remains that everything is being documented, that in a way that once you pick up your phone and search, you are definitely going to get an answer. Thank you so much, and see you all in my next video. Bye for now.